Ooh, ding. It is recording.
Okay, we're back.
Now that we have beer, we can continue this.
Oh, absolutely.
There we go.
Wow.
Inaugural sound effect.
We won't even have to add one in now.
Ooh, that sound spike was real high. We might need to edit that.
Is that the editing or is that the new sound?
It's the sound effect of opening a beer.
Okay, yeah. We'll just keep taking a few tries at it and see which one's the most realistic.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah, and we'll just leave the best one in.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Why don't you have any tattoos? Do you think you ever will?
Ooh, no, I probably won't. I'm kind of lame like that. I don't know. I've never seen or like thought of something that I'm like, not like, you hear everyone saying like, oh, I don't think there's anything like I could think of that's important enough to me. But for me, I don't see anything important enough where I need it on my skin.
That's
like, I can think of a lot of important things that like might inspire like a decent tattoo that I wouldn't hate, but I just feel like putting it on my skin is something I don't see myself ever doing.
I wonder if for you then it would almost have to be an aesthetic decision because you like the way that one looks or wanted the look of something. Yeah. Given that, I mean, clearly, yeah, you've identified enough things that are meaningful or could make for a meaningful tattoo. Yeah. Might I suggest butterfly wings or an infinity sign on your wrist?
Oh, one on each wrist. Well, a butterfly can kind of look like an infinity.
I bet you it's never been done before.
That's an efficient
to make a
tattoo.
butterfly that looks like an infinity sign.
Oh, man. Yeah.
That's the front page of every tattoo demo book.
But what about you, man? What is your process of choosing what kind of tattoo you want?
Well,
because you have a few.
Yeah, 4 right now. None more immediately planned, but definitely there will be more. Growing up with mom and dad having tattoos, and dad having some that I guess you could just say are kind of questionable. Okay. He's still got my mom's name on his ankle, and his new wife laughs about it, so that's good. Yeah. But definitely inspired me to put a little bit of extra thought into them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I guess the things that are important enough or feel central enough that they will be, or I want them to be, like a core tenet of who I am forever. Like my first tattoo I'd planned for 2 years after taking a couple of years of Latin. Mm-hmm. We had these old ass books from like the early 70s that my Latin teacher refused to give up. You couldn't order them anymore. They were like $250 to order one used because they're so rare. Yeah. But he just thought everyone else did a bad job making Latin textbooks since. Yeah. So we were using these ancient ass books, and at the front of each new section, there was a little italicized quote in Latin from some famous Roman or person who spoke in that language. Mm-hmm. And one of them is ipsa scientia potestas est. Knowledge itself is power. And that just resonated with me enough, being the goofy tryhard that I was then. Yeah. And I don't know, I kind of figured I always wanted to have that ideal. I never wanted to stop learning. I know that. So like you say, you don't have to put it in the tattoo. I wouldn't for me, but that lets me kind of display it proudly, and often enough, it becomes a topic of conversation at a beach when changing. Of course, with any like romantic interest in your life, it comes up. Mm-hmm. And it almost becomes not really like a conversation point or a way to talk about myself, but it makes it apparent that I have these ideals for myself, that I'm confident in them, and it gives me a way to share and talk about them if it comes up. Yeah, your values are definitely on display. So a friend of mine, I don't think we need to cut this out because this is cool. Mike, you've met him. He has a tattoo on his quad, like on his thigh, that it's a compass, like a very like nice, ornate, detailed compass. And then each of the directions is something different. So one direction has a tree to represent his family. One of them has a snake from his like fraternity and the values he took from that. And then another one has Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, because it's like Ohana means family. Yeah, well, it's just like his like I don't know, his adoration for kind of that like childhood, like always like grown kid kind of like vibe. And then one of the other directions is blank because he couldn't think of anything meaningful enough to put on a third one. I actually love that with a blank. Yeah, right? That's also really cool. That almost makes it better. Yeah. Interesting. And then around it, it says Sic Magnus Parva. I think that's what it is, which means greatness from small beginnings, and is from the Uncharted series. Because he's a PlayStation boy. That's dedicated fanboying.
Yeah, but like, so something like, I've thought about getting either something like that,
an
like
amalgamation of ideas.
Yeah, something that kind of like checks a lot of boxes at once. And then also I've thought about those like kind of tattoos that are like you get them as like a reminder. So we have a friend who has a tattoo that just says like work harder. And like, just like stuff like
old
that.
Typewriter font.
Yeah. And it's just like, and it's like right where you can like see it all the time. I think it's on his forearm. Like, and so something like that's kind of cool too. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see myself actually pulling the trigger on it like ever.
Fair enough.
Because I was thinking about one. It was like a wrestling one that would be like build, like I'd have two. It'd be like build your base, get to your feet. Because that's like something like that's got to be when you're wrestling and you're like taken down. Like that has got to be your immediate like mindset is build a base and get to your feet.
But also when that,
but yeah, it applies.
Duplicity, yes.
Yeah, it applies to like kind of all things about like not giving up. And so I thought that was a cool idea. I don't know if I'll ever actually get it like inked on me though.
Huh. Wonder if it'll ever come up. I like them, but I definitely have the stance that they can be great and they can be terrible, and the only time to get one is when you have put the thought in and know that you want it.
Yeah.
It's nice to have like a good idea for one like that, even if you fleshed it out more and had the whole artistic image, how you wanted the font, what you wanted around it with it. That, but not yet being sure if you want it, I say don't get it.
Yeah.
And I've got 4 and plan to get more. So I'm a pro tattoo guy that is also pro temperance with tattoos.
Of course.
I've seen bad ones often enough, you know?
Yeah, sure have.
Okay. Let me ask another interview question or two about you.
Sure. Shoot.
What's something you're obsessed with? That seems like a branch. Maybe that finds you the way to the tattoo you would want.
I don't think I have any obsessions.
Even not in a more generic or roundabout sort of way? You might not. You're a very measured person.
I'm a pretty detached person from a lot of things. Yeah, do I have any obsessions right now?
Nicotine?
That's an addiction. I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I got nothing though. I don't know as far as obsessions go. Because I mean, sometimes I guess if I'm like really into a show or something, I'll just like be like Googling like fan theories and stuff like that all the time about it.
I've seen you wormhole on YouTube, man.
Yeah, that's true. But even then, I would even characterize YouTube as more of an addiction than an obsession. But yeah, I don't know if I really have any. Is there anything you've seen me become obsessed with that you can think of?
I'm obsessed with. Honestly, I think not, and I don't know that that's a bad way to be. Even when you were training to wrestle at the national championship for like all of college career, you were so chilled about it. You were like, no, it's crackdown time. Even when we were at a SIGEP event or at the bar or something, you'd have some beers, but you wouldn't go nuts. I'd want to stay up extra
when
late.
it was wrestling season,
no,
I wasn't
can't.
drinking, yeah.
You were just, but you did it without obsession. It was, it was happier than resignation, but it wasn't obsession. It was just like, I don't know, determination?
Yeah. Well, the thing about wrestling was like, especially once I started going really hard, sophomore year, I remember, because I had All-American my freshman year, and so I was kind of like thinking I was the shit, and then like the whole first semester goes by, and I'm like undefeated, like nothing even close to a loss.
Oh, I am the shit.
And yeah, and so then, but then I got hurt over winter break, or like right before winter break, I like sprained my ankle pretty bad.
Like a pussy.
Yeah, exactly. And so I rehabbed it all winter break, got back, was wrestling in like a leg brace, and I was still like kicking ass. And I was like, all right, I guess like I don't really have to change anything. And then there was
I'm just that great.
There was one tournament though.
I have pursued the excellence.
Where I wrestled this kid from Maine, and he didn't pin me, but it went the full time, and he just ran an absolute train on me. Like he just outclassed me so much in like physical ability. Like he just had a much better gas tank than me. He was stronger than me. Like, and yeah, I don't know. I was just kind of sloppy. And I don't know, dude, that just put a fucking fire in my eyes. And after that, it was like, all right, I'm not drinking until the season's over. I'm working out extra. I would drive from Yukon to New Haven to practice with Trinity's D3 team when my team didn't have practice.
That's an hour and 15 minutes, an hour. That's a solid additional thing on top of an engineering schedule and a full team workout schedule.
Yeah, I was...
Was that while you were cheerleading too?
No.
That was sophomore year.
Yeah, that was sophomore year. Yeah, so I definitely went extra hard, and then it ended up paying off for me.
with a national championship.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So maybe that was an obsession, but it wasn't something that I was often like thinking about and planning around stuff outside of wrestling. Like when I was in there, I was in the like zone that whole season. Like, and for a bunch of the ones going forward, I was like zoned in on I was there, and then like kind of out of sight, out of mind when I wasn't.
Okay. Yeah.
I just never wanted to feel that way again. That was the biggest thing. I remember just like this dude on top of me, and I'm like too tired to put up a fight.
Oh.
And like
my whole high school wrestling career.
Yeah, it was just a way I'd never wanted to feel again.
It's not a good feeling.
So I like set out to make sure I didn't. It is the worst feeling, absolutely.
And it did pay off, right? Did you really get spanked again after that? Ever? You got beaten.
Yeah, I did.
Occasionally.
Eventually, not that season, but the next season, a similar thing happened where I came back from winter break after getting lazy.
Oh boy!
And we went to national duels in Virginia, and yeah, there were a couple times, man. And then the same thing happened, and then I just fucking went back to the.
Oops! None of that again.
Yeah, exactly. Just went back to basics and fucking trained my heart out, and then that was the year that I actually won the national championship.
Hey,
yeah.
There it is. As a junior.
Yeah. So, Zane, I got a question for you. What is a controversial opinion you have?
Ooh, there's definitely at least a few of them.
Yeah, but how many do we want to talk about?
We'll pick one. Oh, I guess the first one that came to mind, although that might not be the most comfortable. Mm-hmm. But that's controversy. I think...
Unpopular opinion, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Was that the direction you were going? That's a good one. Alright, controversial opinions I have.
Alright, I have one for you. I have an opinion. And I feel like no matter which side you take, it'll be controversial.
Okay, let's take it. Abortion.
What do you call a file whose extension is GIF?
That's a goddamn GIF.
You fucking loser, dude. No, it's not.
Do you really call it a GIF?
I do call it a GIF.
Why would you ever?
Do you want to know why?
You better make a good case or you're out of this apartment.
So, the original creator of the .gif file called it a GIF. And if you think that... And so, one, he named it, he gets to call it what he calls it, right? But then there's other people say something like, yeah, but it's G. You don't say, like... Yeah, or whatever, I don't know. Another word that starts with G. You don't say, like, Joogle.com or whatever. It's like, alright, well, there are giraffes. And they'll be like, yeah, but it stands for graphical, not giraffical. And so...
I haven't heard that argument.
But, who cares? Because, do you know what SCUBA stands for?
Oh my gosh, I've forgotten.
Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Not underwater, but they're all fine with saying scuba and not scubba. So it's a fucking GIF, and that's my controversial opinion.
You know what's incredible?
What?
This is why the exchange of ideas is so important, now more than ever. I think that you have convinced me. I'm going to start calling it a GIF.
And people will give you shit for it like your green text, but you just gotta fucking...
If for no other reason, then that is an airtight argument. Fine. Yeah. It's a GIF. Oh.
Okay. Controversial opinion.
Okay.
Discussed.
I guess it's time for me to put one up.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I'm having such a hard time choosing between my multitude of controversial opinions. Do I have that many that aren't on heavy issues? I don't know.
What's something that you like that everyone else thinks is bad, or something you hate that everyone else thinks is good?
Ooh, The Office.
Ooh.
I won't say it's bad. This should have been the first thing in my mind. It's not bad, and I laugh at the memes, and I'm, at this point, just by osmosis, pretty familiar with a lot of the characters and a handful of plot lines. But it has never hooked me, and dozens of people have told me to watch it.
Yeah, dude, people love that fucking show.
A half dozen people have watched it with me, and I've tried starting it 2 or 3 times on my own at different points in the seasons, and it has never hooked me for more than 1.5 episodes.
I think the thing about The Office is that people watch it so much until they think that the characters are like their friends. Like, they feel like they work there. Because of the way it's like shot and like how like deeply they go in basically this one core set of characters. Is that why the show Friends
became such a phenomenon?
I bet it is. I bet
Friends was like
Seinfeld,
the previous version of The Office.
Part of The Office though just feels so real because of like the style of like the mockumentary style that they kind of invented.
Were they the first? That was 2008 in America, right?
It was the first big one, I would say. I don't remember when it was.
I think the British one was first, right?
Yeah, the British one was first. The British one's funny too. A lot drier than the American one, though.
Much more British.
The American one starts out closer to the British one and then progressively gets more American as it goes on.
Focus groups, baby.
Like, with Michael Scott in the beginning of the show is much more of a dick and becomes much more of a lovable idiot. Like,
okay.
At first, he's an
idiot.
ignorant asshole at first, too. Like, just, like, really petty and, like, not sure of himself. And some of that stuff stays in. Like, the, what's the word I'm looking for? Insecure. And because of that, just kind of becomes a dick. Like, just his actions are that way. But he becomes much more of a lovable idiot as the show goes on. But, dude, Steve Carell, and I like that show. Steve Carell just nails it as Michael Scott. He is so fucking funny, I think.
He is hysterical.
And once he left the show, I mean, this is not a controversial opinion, but once he left that show, like, went downhill pretty quick.
How long did it last after he left?
I want to say like 3 seasons. I'm not sure though. I'd have to be fact checked.
They really tried to hold on to it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredibly popular show, man.
That's true. All right. Well, there's a controversial opinion you can all have.
Office sucks.
Office is adequate. There's a lot of much, much better programming on.
They also nailed cringe comedy in some of the episodes. You ever see Scott's Tots?
Oh, yes. I've seen the clips of it, at least.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Discomfort in comedy is difficult for me.
I love it, dude. I love cringe comedy so much.
The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is a show on Amazon. No, that's Netflix. And that's also cringy. I guess that popped into my head. Mm-hmm. I meant The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is an Amazon show.
Yeah.
And god damn, the way that they portray bombing on stage as a comedian.
Oh god, that's
so
gonna be the worst feeling.
Heart-wrenchingly, according to all the comedian podcasts I listen to, it literally is the worst feeling, short of a physical. Well, it is physical apparently. Short of, like, I guess, injury. It's just horrible.
Damn.
And watching that show sometimes, I was literally saying, like, no. Oh, I know where this is going.
Oh, man.
And sometimes it's tough for me, man. Sometimes cringe, I'll even look away, which is crazy. I can watch any horror. I can listen to any comedy and get something out of it, but
that's
man,
how it was
watching the cringe. Movie 43, great example. There's some cringe. I will pull away occasionally.
All right. What's the next question?
What do you think is the most annoying habit someone can have?
The most annoying habit someone can have? Do you have one, like, locked and loaded for me? Because
I'm asking you. I'm curious on it. Yeah. I know what Carter's would be. My younger brother Carter, for as long as I've known him, probably still, will lose his shit if you are chewing with your mouth open.
Huh. He
will remind you rudely. And even if you are a friend or, like, your brother's girlfriend or something, he will still address it. I think he found his phobia for it. I forget what it is, but that gets to him. Really? So for sure, that's like a most annoying habit. I don't know what I would consider the most. Oh, easy.
You got one?
I got one. One-uppers. And I work with one of them. Love the dude. Great conversations. Great coworker. Very knowledgeable. Fun to go out with. We all go out as a coworker group. But regardless of who is saying anything, one of our coworkers' circle, our manager, our boss, like above him, if anyone is saying pretty much any story, he's got one for it. Yeah. I remember when I went there, or when I made that food dish, or my friend went to there and did that also and told me about it. Always.
Yeah.
And maybe the reason it gets to me so much is for sure, I think that was me for a while. But I am so hyper aware of it. Just let people have their time also. There's a lot of times when people talk about doing something and it is a variation or directly in line with something that I have done or know a lot about, but it would steal their spotlight to do it. For example, if somebody said they went hiking in Norway and I just chimed in, I went there, did you hike Trolltunga? It was incredible. It was like the most beautiful hike of my life.
Yeah.
Cool, relevant, dickish.
Now they feel kicked out of their own story.
Yeah, or like one-upped. Like what you did was 80% cool, but what I did was even a little better.
Yeah.
That's not a cool way to be towards anyone, and it's not how you're supposed to be. So I make a very active effort to bite my tongue and not chime in with people's stories, and some people don't. And it gets to me because you also, if it's someone you know, you don't really want to address it with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you're 24, you've probably either heard this or don't want to hear it, and I see you every day. I'm not going to correct your kind of off-putting behavior for you now.
Yeah.
That's not my job.
Yeah, that's when you just kind of like smile and nod, and you
exactly.
Like, every once in a while you say like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Or every once in a while, just so I don't feel crazy, talk to one of my other coworkers and be like, you ever get a little tired of, and they're, oh yeah. Then it's a little bit better. Like, all right, I'm not alone in, like, we're all bearing this together to not hurt his feelings. It's fine. It's
a hard thing not to do sometimes, though, because if you have a relevant story,
I know,
it can, like, aid a conversation. And if it's, like, cool, like, you obviously want to say it, and, like, there's a good chance. But
there's also for sure a good time. And when the person has finished their story is when I find it to be a better time, rather than when they first address it or are in the second exchange with someone about it.
I'm big on asking questions.
That's such a good way. That was what Tabitha always insisted was, like, the key to being friends with everyone. Just ask questions. Ask everyone questions.
Yeah.
Like, keep them talking. Don't talk about you. Ask questions.
100% true, yeah,
it's
for sure.
It's great. It's really good advice. What do you think might be the most annoying habit?
Oh, man, that was such a good one. The most annoying habit.
Or the most disgusting habit. Do you have a most for that? Biting your nails, not great. Biting your toenails.
Biting my nails.
Biting your toenails, worse. Picking your nose, maybe on par with the toenail biting. Picking and eating, that's a step down. What do you think is the worst or most disgusting habit that some people have?
The worst or most disgusting? This is probably going to get cut because I need to think.
It's all right. Thinking is important, Steve. Don't hurt yourself. It's a dangerous pastime.
All right, so I think I got one.
Let's hear it.
I would say the worst habit someone can have, and I don't know, and it's similar to yours in the way that I don't know if it's a personality trait or a habit more, but just people who complain all the time, like everything's like out to get them, and they're, I don't know. I remember hearing it so much in like school where people were complaining about their like how much work they have. It's like, you are paying to be here and you chose this major. You even chose to take this class now, and you drink on the weekends. Like, I don't know, like what is there to complain about? That, and also I think that it's so important to like take responsibility for just about as much as you can. Like, yeah, sometimes something really shitty happens to you and there's no way you could have like done anything about it, but by taking things in and making them your own responsibility, it makes you feel like you have a little bit more power over it. Absolutely. But it also means that you're less likely to complain about it. That's how you find a way forward to fixing some problem in your life, is by owning that problem.
Oh, I have a related story to that.
But yeah, like, I don't know, man. And so that happens a lot to me where, like, I don't know, I'm running late for something and there's things I could blame, but they would all be bullshit if I did. Like, this is clearly my fault, or just things like that. Like, most of the time there is like just a second side or a perspective in which you could do something different. You got to try to learn from that, and just complaining never solves anything. People just want to hear themselves talk, I think, a lot. And I don't know, it's so easy to find things that you don't like that people just fall back on it so easily because it's like just on their mind, but it doesn't make anybody like happier. It just brings everybody down, and yeah, that shit. And the thing is, it's similar to your thing, the like one-upsmanship, is that everyone does it. I do it. I'll like chime in with a story and like whatever. Sometimes it's like a one-up kind of story, or I'll complain about things. It happens, but it's just a volume thing. It's just the amount you do it, and some people it is their primary mode of default like mode of communication, and yeah, it's just not a good time to be around.
That's super fair. Misery loves company.
Yeah,
and that can be grating. Yeah. I'll be honest, sometimes I do like to indulge in a complaint.
Yeah, of course.
Even knowingly, like a semester where I knowingly am working too many jobs, playing too many sports, taking too many classes, all on top of each other. I know that's my fault. I did that to myself. Sometimes it feels like a release to just bitch about it.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think that is best done with close friends and limited numbers of people, and definitely about volume. Like, if every 2 or 3 weeks I just need to rant for 15 minutes about the insane bullshit I'm doing, but then you don't bring it up, and you did that to, like, the one friend that you trade complaints with, that's different, and I think that's fine and healthy. It's temperance, right? It's okay to complain, but it's not good to live in complaint.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair. That's a pretty good one.
Oh, what is your guilty pleasure?
Oh, what? Ooh, so many. The one that I joke about that comes to mind first is girly fruity drinks. I love me some Mike's Harder, pina coladas, pink whatever cocktails. I don't get the point of saying you should drink an IPA and wear flannel more. Like, I don't know. We're all here to get drunk, and these taste better to me.
Yeah, the thing about
that's a light one.
The thing about guilty pleasures is, like, I understand what they are, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I'm into, but I'm not guilty about any of it. Like, or I don't really hide any of it. Like, you don't hide the fact that you like fruity drinks.
Exactly.
Like, people know that about you.
What?
Like, you don't feel shitty about it. Like,
That's
there's
true.
Stuff like that.
But what I think it might be is, I mean, that one, I came out swinging when I first had a drink. Like, yeah, I'm going to have the tasty ones.
Yeah, of course.
Vodka pineapple all the way, baby. But I think that's self-confidence. Like, now, there's not a lot of guilty pleasures. I like to wear pink because it can be whatever's the mold breaking is maybe the word I'm looking for. It kind of breaks the mold for a guy to wear pink, especially my hot pink jiu-jitsu gi from like ankle to neck. I'm in hot pink. And it's funny, and people comment on it and laugh on it. And yeah, I guess part of it is attention, but also it feels goofy and silly and disarming, and I don't want to be the overly serious guy when I could instead be the guy that makes you chuckle when you see my outfit. The things that would have been a guilty pleasure, like having girly drinks or wearing pink or watching anime, have now become closer to points of pride for me.
Yeah, definitely.
It feels like you can do it and pull it off. It's that stable confidence in yourself, like, I like me and I like these things, and if you don't, that's fine. You don't need to be a dick, but we don't have to be, engaging on that level.
Dude, I get so hyped when I find someone who I like, and then I find out that they watch anime, and I just feel like we have so much to talk about.
Immediately, a whole nother worlds have opened up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's, so, like, there's not too many things that are, like, actually, like, guilty pleasures of mine. They're just kind of, like, weird things I'm into. But I'm pretty public about all of them.
I feel like it's own it, right?
Yeah.
Strut your stuff, fake it till you make it, walk the walk, whatever bullshit little Marilyn
Even stuff
Monroe
that I'm, like,
quote you
not
want to
proud
motivate
of.
yourself
Like,
with.
I'm not proud of the fact that I, like, vape nicotine. Like, but I feel guilty to myself, but, like, I still do it around people, and it's, like, not a secret to anybody. You know? I don't know.
I know it's not good. I know it's not healthy. I don't need your judgment from it. I'm doing it right now, and I'm aware of that. Like,
yeah, and I know I shouldn't be. That's the thing. But it's not. Sometimes I'll feel guilty if I'm around like a new group of people who haven't seen me do it before. Then I'll be like, do I really want to like now become like, oh, Steve vapes? Okay, we know that about him now. Like maybe then I'll like try to like hold back a little bit. But most of the time, it's just like I'll just do it when I feel like it.
That sounds like a solid. Again, balance, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that was pedal to the metal on the heavy and real things for a minute. Let's go back to our roots. Steve, I need to know. I need you to tell me this. Is cereal soup?
Yes. Next question.
Wait. Why?
Why? I mean, define soup.
No, that is what I'm asking you to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like food in a liquid that is also food.
Not hot or with...
There's cold soup. Gazpacho.
Ooh, we've got.
And also, if you had like chicken noodle soup and it was cold, would it not be soup anymore?
Is it soup because? Oh, here's an answer. You're dumping.
This isn't an answer.
One ingredient or a counter. You're dumping one dry ingredient or some ingredients if you're a really advanced cereal maker, and then you're just adding separate broth. Is that soup? If I dumped like a package of broccoli into a bowl and then I poured chicken stock in. Is that soup, or is that like approximating soup?
It's a shitty soup, but it's a soup for sure.
All right. I guess cereals are soup. Well, then here's a question I'm bringing you from work. This one actually came up, and I still have it taped on my desk on a sticky note.
Okay.
Does that make a straw a catheter?
Does that make a straw a catheter? What? I don't understand.
Catheters...
I know what a catheter is.
It's not just to drain piss, it's to drain any fluid from the body. They use them in your abdominal cavity during surgery. It can be placed in other areas where fluid's filling. It's any, like, inset tubing apparatus so you can remove the fluid from the body.
Yeah.
Or, hypothetically, transfer fluid, not necessarily just remove it.
Yeah.
So, is a straw a catheter? That's a tube that aids the transfer of fluid between the body and outside it.
Yeah, it could be used as one, sure.
I'm not saying ram a straw up. All right. You're very liberal with your form, functional fixedness in psychology. Functional fixedness is when you look at an object, you can only really see what it is intended to be used for.
Mansplain to me, daddy.
You see a hammer, you can hit nails with that. You don't see it so well as a murder weapon or a prop for underneath the shaky corner of your desk. You don't see things for what they are not meant to be used for, even if you can. So that's like a checkpoint in child development when the functional fixedness processing or whatever it is starts to develop. When can you see something as more than just what it is, but what it could be used for?
Yeah.
And, you know, being creative and applying it from there. Is a straw a catheter? I was saying yes. The majority of my coworkers argue no.
They're stupid.
It's a bunch of engineers that work on catheters, so maybe they're biased.
Yeah.
But I think a straw is a catheter.
Yeah, that's like someone saying, like, a Red's Apple Ale isn't beer. It's like, yeah, it is. It's just...
It's an ale. It's just apple juice ale.
Yeah. But the thing is, with any of those kind of questions, like the hot dog sandwich, water wet, all that, like, nonsense, is, like, so many people, when they discuss those things... They don't really define any terms. They just kind of try to point at examples of things. And they go
back and forth.
And dance around it. And they're not going that one extra level of abstraction like me and my giant brain. And so you just got to like nail down a couple definitions. And then it's usually like pretty simple. As long as you can agree on a definition. That's
fair. I forget what exactly the definition is for the catheter, but we did look it up. And
it just says straw. Fuck.
Foiled again. A flexible tube inserted through a narrow opening into a body cavity, particularly the bladder, but doesn't need to be, for removing fluid.
Yeah, so a straw could.
So if I had water in my mouth and I put a straw in my mouth and spit water through it at someone, I just used a catheter on them?
Yeah, sure.
At them?
Yeah.
All right, I'm glad that you agree with me.
Technically correct.
I'm r/technically correct. Okay. What do you think people would be nostalgic for in 40 years?
Ooh.
That'll be when we're like 60. Think of 60-year-olds now, young grandparents, old parents for some of our friends.
I don't know, man. Xbox 360.
Well, what are games going to be like for them to look back and be nostalgic about? What will entertainment be like? Do you think we'll be past the point of Neuralink? And
are you saying, like, what now will people be nostalgic about? Like, what is going on now that they will look back on in nostalgia?
Probably not Trump's administration.
I don't know. Maybe, like, Marvel movies or something.
Ooh. Slam dunk answer.
Yeah. I think that
the MCU.
That could be one.
That's fair. The start of VR before the robots took over the world?
I feel like maybe, like, some aspects of the internet, if they go, like, super corporate or something and, like... There's just less genuine stuff on the internet, and it's all just like marketing bullshit. They'll be like, "Oh, I remember when the internet was like
free
cool
content,
people doing cool things, and like
a couple of fellas podcast."
Yeah, and like you could go on to exactly like this podcast. Well, everyone's gonna be so nostalgic for this podcast, except for the fact that it'll never end. No, what'll happen is we get so big, and then will get to the point where people are like, "Oh, I like their old stuff better."
You're right.
That's gonna happen
because people love being discontented.
Yeah.
They love it.
Once we Once we start putting more production behind this.
All right. So freedom of information,
the
expression.
Old raw stuff.
The old raw stuff where it was bad.
Yeah.
As opposed to the new next stage big brain stuff, such as how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant? I'm going to come out here first and say that I don't think they will.
Well, are they
unless it's what's the Reddit who would win subpage? What is it? Bloodlusted is what they like. Intent on killing. Mm-hmm. The goal is to kill.
Yeah.
If you're just putting a fuckload of chickens in a coop with an elephant until you suffocated him.
Yeah.
I think is my answer for the number of chickens.
Did you ever see that one on 4chan? It was like, who would win, like 1 billion hawks or like 100,000 Marines. And then, like, the first comment is like, do you even understand how many hawks a billion is? They would pile up and smother the earth from, like, the ground to the edge of the atmosphere, cutting off all air.
Your question is bad and you should feel bad.
Because, like, the first comment was like, I don't know, man, Marines are pretty well trained. I think that they could, like, handle it. Like, they're just a bunch of animals. And then the next guy just comes back illustrating what a billion hawks looks like.
A pile of hawks 3.5 miles deep. Clogging the oceans, filling the skies, blocking all sunlight.
A pure catastrophe.
That's past any biblical plague I've heard of. A billion hawks, God's new fuck you to the earth.
How many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
Bloodlusted. Chickens and elephant.
Like, they're angry. Like, this elephant just stomped on all their eggs.
And the elephant's like, fuck you.
Yeah. I don't know how well chickens could coordinate themselves.
I had chickens for a while.
Like, are we just, like, in the Sahara?
Well.
Like, it's just a long plains?
Yeah, this is...
So you can't, like you said, like, stack them up. Like, these chickens...
Open Army Simulator or whatever. We've got a field of chickens surrounding this one elephant. We'll make it like a circle.
It's like an uncountable number. Like, not because it's infinite, but just, like, at some point, like, you kind of lose the scale of how many it would take. Like, it would take more than 5. Probably take more than 100. 1,000 chickens?
More than Dude, I could take down 100 chickens. An elephant's got to have better luck trampling than me.
Like, once you get past 1,000, like, and even 1,000 is kind of a hard, like, number to, like, imagine that many individuals of a certain thing, like,
attacking
in your head.
an elephant.
Like, what is that? How does that look different from a million? You know, like, you lose the scale. I lose the scale.
It's
at least
1,000
so
times smaller.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's
if
why
every one chicken in your 1,000 was now another 1,000 chickens.
Yeah,
that would be a million.
1,000. Yeah, it's hard to say.
And if every one of those was now 1,000 more, we'd have a billion hawks and we'd all drown.
I guess, like, what you could think the chicken strategy was, and this is completely plausible for chickens because they're stupid, but if they're just, like, kind of all around, like, overwhelming, like, pecking at this elephant, maybe they could trip it, and then if they trip it, they can, like, poke his eyes out and, like, just kind of, like, dismantle him from his side before he can get up.
That's possible.
But they got some thick skin, too. But, like, at some point, he's completely and utterly surrounded, and then it's just, like, a time thing of, like, when can these chickens just outlast this elephant in this, like, death match?
It's last as long as you can mode in Brawl, the training mode, except with one elephant and all of the chickens.
Yeah, and does the elephant have intent to kill as well?
Yes, I'm giving both of them bloodlusted.
Wow. I'll say 1,000 chickens, man. I don't know.
I'm going to put it at least at, like, 5 or 10,000.
Wow.
I think one elephant trampling straight through you could just zigzag. It's like mowing a lawn.
Yeah, for how long?
At least a
and
little while.
I don't know, like, the chickens per minute, like, rate that an elephant could take out.
Chickens per minute?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Somebody needs to do this math. How many chickens per minute could an African or an Indian elephant take down? Okay, we'll do one final one.
Okay, here's a good one.
Wait, let's do a lightning round.
Okay.
Let's just zip through a bunch.
All right, ready?
Let's go.
What mythical creature would improve the world most if it existed?
Oh, God. What inanimate object do you wish you could eliminate from existence?
Rocks. What are some of the nicknames you have for customers or coworkers?
Bitches.
Nice.
If peanut butter wasn't called peanut butter, what would it be called?
Peanut bubber. What would be the worst buy one get one free sale of all time?
Cancer diagnosis.
Lightning round.
What would be the coolest animal to scale up to the size of a horse?
A horse.
That's my favorite size for them.
They're perfect.
What would be the creepiest thing you could say while passing a stranger on the street?
I like the way you smell at night.
Oh, that's an extra layer than I thought you were going to throw on there. God damn it, I'm crying. We need like 5 more.
If you were ever arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you had done?
Drugs. For sure. Okay, what is the sexiest and least sexy name?
Abigail and also Abigail. What's invisible but you wish people could see?
My beard. What's the weirdest smell you have ever smelled?
Oh,
you're weird. A smell that smells
smelly.
Okay, what's the... Your turn.
Okay. What is something that everyone looks stupid doing?
Pretending to look stupid.
Yeah.
Fucking slam dunk.
Absolutely accurate.
If animals could talk, which would be the rudest?
Ooh.
First animal, come on, we need
people. That's an animal, technically.
All right, but now what about not people?
Toilet paper, over or under?
Over, you.
All right, that's a lame question. What's the best type of cheese?
Pepper jack is where all my coworkers go, but fuck them. Goat cheese.
Goat cheese, bold.
In one sentence, how would you sum up the internet?
Good. That's a word, not a sentence. It is good. What used to be considered trashy but is now very classy?
Opioid addiction? I feel like that's become a rich man's ailment.
That is a rich man's sport for sure.
What's the weirdest thing you've seen in someone else's home?
Oh, a dead body.
Wait, really? Really?
And this has been a couple of fellas, and I think we'll be signing off, and we will see you next time.